Good afternoon, it's Nicholas from Gandora Gaming, and Konami has absolutely fumbled the bag. I really do. Valiant Smashers had the potential for greatness, and honestly, I think this is the first deck build set they had in a while where all the archetypes are solid but not great. Let's talk about it and let's actually discuss Valiant Smashers as a whole. We have the full set revealed as of today. We know the rarities. We know the playability of the archetypes. Let's discuss this. So first things first, I'm going to talk about the name changes. I'm not a big fan of them. I really like their OCG names, Memento, Centurion, Val Monica. These are some really, really cool names. They're changing them up. Val Monica's, I forgot what they name changed that one, but because that archetype doesn't even feel like playable, I'm not going to look it up to see what they name change it as. But the other two, Centurion is now Centurion, which is weird. I guess because it's more robotic now. I'm still going to be calling him Centurion throughout this video because that's what I've been calling him for months. And Memento. What the fuck how could you fuck up Memento as a name? Why couldn't you leave it as that? Now it's Memento Toadin? Memento Toadin? Like, what the fuck is the toad part about it is? I don't know. I think the name change is stupid, but whatever. Now, let's actually talk about the set itself. So, for reprints, there's some decent ones in here. I'm not going to lie. Angel of Zephyra, Archlord Christia. There's some, Babushka's getting reprinted in this set. There's some, Bestial, not Bestial, what am I saying? What's it called? The Tangy Berserker is getting reprinted in this set. There's some decent reprints in this set. But there's also, repetitive reprints in this set. Come on. Do we need another reprint of There Can Only Be One? Is it, why is There Can Only Be One every, core, deck build set to reprinting this card? This card has gotten so many reprints, it's ridiculous now, and over the last year, we get it. There Can Only Be One used to be an expensive card. Now this card has 6 reprints. We don't need any more after this. Please, Konami. I don't want the kids in my locals having more copies of There Can Only Be One to flip on my ass. Please leave it at be. Anyway, as of really impactful reprints, I really don't see anything too crazy. I do like the Terraforming reprint, even though Terraforming is a really cheap card. Hopefully it's one of the what's it called, quarter century rares, or one of the collector's rares. I would love to see a collector's rare Terraforming or something like that. Other cards in here, they seem decent enough. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to the reprints, I don't see anything that's screaming, "Holy shit, that's insane!" Honestly, besides the Babushka and the Berserk Tengi. Just because Berserk Tengi needed a reprint, that card's a great card, and it's always going to see play because it's one of the best Synchro 8s in the game. So I definitely needed some reprints, so I'm glad about that. As for Babushka, I'm just glad that Babushka is getting a reprint because that card's always insane. Not to mention, I hope it gets a higher rarity. Maybe we get the alt art here. I would love to see the Drunken Babushka instead of the Sleepy Babushka, but who knows? I would love to see a high rarity of that. Maybe a lost art. That'd be pretty cool. Let's talk about the actual archetypes, though. So Centurion is the only playable archetype when it comes to the meta contention. Centurion is a synchro-based archetype based on their monsters being continuous spells, and the whole gimmick of the deck is that they're level 4s and 8s, and the idea is that you want to synchro summon the level 12 big guy on your turn, and then you want to put the monsters in their spell and trap zones so they can quick effect spell summon themselves on your opponent's turn. And then because of their field spell, which is kind of like the Psy-Frame field spell, it allows them to synchro summon on your opponent's turn. It's kind of like a modern day Psy-Frame deck, but doesn't require your opponent to actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! You can just lock them out immediately. This deck has been named Calamity Turbo because it's another archetype that can just spit out Calamity really, really easy. Now, out of all the 3 archetypes, I'm not going to lie, this is probably my favorite. I'm a huge sucker for making monsters from the extra deck on our opponent's turn. It's one of the reasons why I love Gold Pride Punk that much. I already said it in multiple videos, but the fact that you can XYZ summon, Synchro summon, and Fusion summon on your opponent's turn is so cool to me. And now that this is a new archetype that Synchro summons on your opponent's turn, I gotta love it in some capacity, but I don't like that the deck has kind of devolved into, let's make Calamity Turbo. Now, maybe some builds won't be doing that, but I can definitely see for the foreseeable first few weeks That's basically what his deck's going to be. It's going to be Calamity Turbo, which is going to suck because we already have enough Calamity Turbo decks in his format. We already have, of course, other Punk builds. We have, of course, Mana Dome as this deck's version of Calamity Turbo. We have Synchron that can make Calamity Turbo. We have Sword Soul builds that can make Calamity Turbo. And we even have freaking, what's it called? TGs that make Calamity Turbo. Personally, I think Calamity should be banned. That's a whole other discussion. I hate that the best archetype in this set is just going to be Calamity Turbo for like the first few weeks. Hopefully, it's going to be splashed in a deck that's actually like really cool, making some interesting plays. I've seen some Eldritch builds that look really, really cool because they are continuous spells and continuous traps, I think. So there's some play there, which is really, really cool. I don't know where this deck's going to go from here. It has a whole bunch of possibilities. I have seen some Punk videos online with like Centurion Punk as a deck. That would be pretty cool. I don't know. We'll just have to find out. But overall, ultimately, this is the only meta archetype. Memento is the second one. Memento is like a cool casual rogue deck. It has some cool potential. The 5,000 beat stick is like a negate multiple times, I believe. I think it's like he loses 1,000 attack for each negate he has. So he's like 5 negates, which is really, really cool. Not to mention, I think their trap is like Icarus attack, where it like pops cards, which is really cool. Not to mention, the deck can Foolish Burial a lot of their monsters. Like, I think their Seahorse monster, like Foolish Burials, up to the level. So if it attributes itself, if Foolish Burials up to 5, and they're all like low level dudes, which is really, really cool. Ultimately, I just don't think the deck's like right now going to be like meta contending viable, but we could be proven wrong. All it takes is one deck list, and the deck's insane again. I think it's gonna be casual rogue, very fun, like nostalgia bait for all the old Yugi boomers who are from the original Duelist Monster Kingdom days to see Trihorn Dragon and the other archetypes be reprinted as like newer zombie versions of themselves, which is really, really cool. I think until that new Karibo comes out next set, I don't think the deck's going to be doing anything, but it has potential. The third and final archetype is Valmonica, which is a pendulum archetype. And usually I'm very excited about pendulum archetypes, but this one just seems weird. It only has 2 monsters in the main deck. They're both scales. And the idea of this archetype is that when your life points go up and down, you can link summon using the pendulums, which is really, really cool. I just feel like there's not enough monsters in the archetype. It's a lot of spells and traps, and a lot of spells and traps don't feel like if this was like more like runic, I could see this deck having potential. The only issue I see is that, yes, they're cool scales, and yes, they allow you to facilitate some cool combos, but I don't see why this engine or this deck could play on its own. Right now, I feel like it's just incomplete. Usually, deck build sets, all 3 archetypes are either like on the same level, or they're just all 3 are insane. For example, Amazing Defenders was looked at as one of the bad sets of this year until they realized all 3 of those archetypes were insane. If you don't know, Amazing Defenders had Rescue Ace, which once Duelist Nexus came out, became one of the best decks in the format. We had Pearly, which Pearly's been a best deck since May. Not best deck, but one of the best decks since May, once they got their second wave of support. And of course, they also had Mikonko. Mikonko just won a YCS or something. And not to mention, Mikonko's had playability before the Acid Golem builds, where the deck was like playing second and just board breaking and like kaijuing your opponent monster and crashing their little Mikonkos into the kaiju to burn your opponent for game. The deck has some playability, and that's an example of an insane deck build set. Other deck build sets that came out this year, Wild Survivors, I think that set is very looked at as bad, but I think it's actually a pretty insane set. Vanquish Soul has seen some competitive play. It got second place at that YCS against Sun Avalon. The Transcendent Drakes, maybe as a whole, aren't a playable archetype, but as an engine, they're pretty insane for dinosaurs. And of course, I'm a huge Novellas fan. I'm a Novellas truther. I think that archetype is like one support away from being actually meta viable. But right now, no one wants to even want to discuss play builds or test builds because they see a hungry, hungry hamburger and they see Ritual and they don't think anything of it. They think it's ass. I disagree. I think Novellas is like one support away from being actually meta competitive. but that's just my opinion. And again, if you go even further, of course, we have Tactical Masters, where we got Runic. We got the Pendulum archetype that also did really, really well. It's eluding my name, but it also starts with a V. I think it's like, it's not Vernalizer. It's the V archetype Pendulum deck, and it plays like it spells some of themselves from the zones, and you play like that. You move them around like token pieces. For some reason the deck's eluding my brain cells, even though I own the deck itself. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Of course, also we had Labyrinth, which is still viable to this day. Same thing with Runic as an engine. I think I think deck build sets can be insane. I just feel like this deck build set is insane in one category, which is Centurion. I think Centurion is a really cool, powerful engine, if not archetype, coming out of the set, and it's going to have immediate meta play. But it's the only archetype in the deck build set that's going to have immediate meta play. That's the biggest issue of the set. And also the biggest issue of the set, and the reason why I want to make this whole discussion video, is because Centurion is going to be expensive as fuck. I don't know what Konami was thinking. The name change was one thing. But when you made all the monsters in the entire archetype of Centurion ultra rares, what were you doing? What are we doing, Konami? This is like Vanquish Soul levels of like ultra rare printing bad. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, okay, they don't have as many ultra rares as Vanquish Soul, but who cares? You made every monster in the archetype an ultra rare. You made all three of the main deck guys ultra rares. You only get like 2 or 3 ultra rares a pack. It's called a box. That means that's guaranteed 9 ultra rares just in the monsters. Not counting the extra deck guy, who I think is a 2 of, so that's 11 ultra rares. Then you made their spell card, one of their best spell cards, Bond, and also an ultra rare. What is wrong with you, Konami? Like, the only way you could have fucked this up even more is if you made the synchro like a lower rarity, and then you made the field spell, which is another 3 of, an ultra rare. That's the only way you would have really fucked us up. You made the field spell ultra rare, you would have had the quick play spell ultra rare, or not, I don't think it's quick play, I think it's a continuous. Whatever, the normal spell card that like places a Centurion, you would have made that thing an ultra rare, and you made all 3 of the main deck dudes ultra rares. Thank God you only gave us the main deck monsters and the extra deck guy, and you didn't give the field spell an ultra rare slot. But come on, Konami, this is ridiculous. Like, I kind of wanted to test out Centurion, but God, I don't want to spend $300 on a Calamity Turbo deck. I just don't. Especially since I don't think it's the best Calamity build Turbo deck in the format. I think that's either Punk, Manadome, and then a toss-up between TGs and Synchron. Like, come on, what the fuck, man? Why is Centurion like 5 ultra rare slots? Like, don't get me wrong, like, Memento has 4, and then you gave 2 to Valmonica because Valmonica's not even playable. But come on, Konami, this is ridiculous. I mean, look at the rarities of these damn things. Like, thank God the field spell isn't ultra, but you made all 3 of the main deck monsters ultra. Like, that's 3 ultra rare to main deck guy. That's 3 ultras. I think the level 8's also 3 of, so that's 9 ultras right there. Bond is the best spell in the deck besides the field spell, so that's another 3. And then the Synchro is like a 1 to 2 of, so that's another 2. That's 15 ultra rares. You only get like 3 per box, I think. That's insane. That's like how the fuck do you expect people to afford this shit? Like, don't get me wrong, people are gonna max out. The only good thing about this is that, like, oh, at least my Centurion deck, it's like high rarity as fuck. Like, oh, all my archetype cards are high rarity. And don't get me wrong, as a Punk player, I wish my cards were more high rarity. For example, I would love if Psychic Wheeler and Tracker. Actually, I think Wheeler has a high rarity. I think Tracker needs a higher rarity. Yeah, Tracker's like a rare. I think it needs a rarity bump, my opinion. So they say with a couple other cards, but that's a whole other story. Why the fuck is every every fucking Centurion high rarity? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, Konami, this needs to be stopped. I hope you don't do this in the next deck build set. I hope you make the next deck build set all 3 archetypes more even keel meta competitive. Like, come on, Konami. There's only 1 playable archetype in this set. What is wrong with you? Like, don't get me wrong, Memento's cool. It's going to have some playability. It might be meta potential, but right now it's looking more rogue than anything else. Even with the new support, they revealed the Karibo guy. But what they call it? The Valmonicas, they look like shit. Valmonica looks like a shit archetype. No offense. They have 2 main deck monsters. And the 2 extra deck monsters are cool and all, but they're not great. Like, they're looking at a cool pendulum engine in a deck that doesn't need it. Come on, Konami. Give us some better Valmonicas. Give us some better Memento. Make the archetypes more balanced. I mean, like, Centurion isn't even that, like, insane. All it is a Synchro 12 on your opponent's turn. But when you have Calamity in the format, it makes it broken. Like, ban Calamity. Please, Konami. Just ban that fucking card. But that's my soap opera. I don't know why the rarities are like this. Also, the reprints are weird. They could have added some much more, like, well-deserving reprints. But instead, they reprinted, like, there can only be one for, like, the 12th time. And, like, yeah, the Ghost Dog, I'm glad that's getting reprinted. But I don't know. There's some weird reprints. Like, do we need Supply Squad to get a reprint? Do we need the freaking common-ass freaking Mech Lords to be reprinted? I don't think so. I don't want to be pulling a pack of Mech Lord. Unless you make Mech Lord insane and they get support in the set. Why the fuck am I opening a new set and I'm getting Mech Lord reprints? What are you doing, Konami? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Don't do anything stupid. I'll see you all in the next one, and bye-bye.